got the most eyes on you, the most to prove. What's your prediction? What's going to happen May 2nd?
With no belt.
I put Rolly to sleep with a left hook. That's it. That's what you're going to see. Period.
Lion situation. I see that's the most tension. Is there real beef there, or is it just you want to get ahead and you see him as a guy that you sparred a lot and you feel you should be in that position?
No, I want to chop that kid's head off.
Not long ago, Ryan Garcia clashed heads with Rolly Romero, and that wasn't even during the official match. With just 2 weeks left until Fatal Fury, City of Wolves, the rivalry between the two has gone from simple trash talk to full-blown animosity.
No, don't try too much. You know, Rolly's going to give you everything you want. So kind of just going to let the fight come to me, and then I'm going to take over. You know, I'm a better fighter all around. So I feel like it's going to show in the fight.
After serving a year-long suspension, Garcia has finally been given the green light to return to the ring, just 5 days before fight night. His feud with Romero isn't limited to what's happened in the ring. It's been brewing for over a year with online trash talk, leaked DMs, and now even a physical altercation before the match has officially begun. To fans, this showdown was always a ticking time bomb, and that recent head clash might have been the moment it finally went off.
Is a tremendous fighter. He's a tremendous fighter. The only people he cannot be happens to be myself, Gervonta Davis, and depression. So, yeah.
Meanwhile, Devin Haney, Garcia's longtime rival and once considered a key figure in this storyline, is sharing the card but not the spotlight. Is set to go up against Jose Ramirez, a legit threat with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. Also topping the bill, Teofimo Lopez is scheduled to take on Arnold Barboza. Some critics see it as more of a supporting act than a main event, but with Teofimo's star power, it's a matchup that still earns its place on the card.
He just said he's looking past you to fight Devin Haney. That doesn't concern you at all?
I think Devin should get the fight again.
But he said he's not even worried about you. He's not even thinking about you. He's looking forward to that fight, that you're just going to be a bump in the road.
As intense as the matchups are inside the ring, what's happening outside of it might be even more unexpected. The venue, Times Square, has never been home to a pro boxing event. It's public, legendary, and completely open air. So when promotional images began making the rounds online, fans naturally assumed this was shaping up to be a massive, once-in-a-lifetime outdoor showdown. Something you could just show up to and witness history unfold in real time. But that dream? It might have been wishful thinking from the start.
I started boxing at 17. I got signed to Floyd when I was 20 years old.
I'm putting the money up right now. If Ryan Garcia can beat Rolly, I give him 200,000 catch.
According to Eddie Hearn of Matchroom, the buzz around a public Times Square fight was never grounded in reality. The viral mock-ups fans were sharing weren't official promotions, and there were never any plans to sell tickets. In a recent interview, Hearn shut down the speculation, saying the images likely came from AI-generated fan pages or online hype accounts dreaming up their own version of the event. The truth? It's not meant for a live crowd. Hearn was clear. This event is built for the cameras, for television. It's about creating a visual spectacle, not hosting a public gathering.
No tickets. I mean, there will be people there, but not open to the public in terms of tickets. And the team, you know, we're running all the logistics for that event. It's very, very difficult. Frank Smith and everybody, you know, really flat out on it. It's going to be an iconic moment. And yeah, who would have thought you'd be shutting down Times Square for a fight? But it will happen. May the 2nd, and we're looking for...
The revelation left fans scratching their heads. Why pick Times Square? Arguably the most chaotic, high-traffic location in New York, if the plan was never to let the public in. Why lean into that kind of spectacle without giving people a chance to experience it firsthand? Hearn didn't dodge the hard truth either. If it were his call, tickets would be on sale. You're literally leaving $5 to $10 million on the table by not having a crowd, he admitted. But the decision wasn't his to make. He's not the only one pulling strings behind the scenes. This event is being shaped by a completely different vision, one that sees boxing not as a live experience, but as a carefully produced, cinematic broadcast.
Garcia, So if I am Oscar De La Hoya, and since Oscar De La Hoya is Ryan Garcia's promoter for Golden Boy Promotions, if I was Oscar De La Hoya, this is how I would book and promote Ryan Garcia moving forward. I heard that Ryan Garcia called out the weakest link at the 140-pound division, that being Rolly Romero, who is the WBA world champion at the 140-pound division in the sport of boxing. And Ryan Garcia was smart for calling out Rolly Romero last night in that boxing ring. So I think it's smart to go after the weakest link and Rolly Romero at the 140-pound division.
That's where comparisons to other unconventional venue ideas start popping up. Hearn casually mentioned the rumored 2026 Alcatraz boxing event, which is reportedly in the early planning stages. Just like Times Square, the point wouldn't be to pack the place with fans or sell out an arena. The idea is to stage boxing in places it's never been, unexpected, iconic locations that instantly grab attention and break the mold of traditional venues. It's a bold strategy, no doubt, but not everyone's convinced it's the right one.
Ryan Garcia is going up to 147. I'm not going to say I think he's going to be fast. I'm not sure if his strength is going to translate to 147. It went with him to 140, but that doesn't mean it's going to go with him to 147 because that's welterweight. And now he's back with Eddie Reynoso. So I want to say, in my opinion, he looked all right with Eddie Reynoso. He looked his best in my...
Then there's Oscar De La Hoya's perspective. While Hearn talked logistics and revenue, De La Hoya leaned into the ambition. His reportedly claimed that as many as 500,000 people could show up in Times Square to watch the fight for free. Garcia backed that up on Instagram, hyping it as a massive public spectacle. But realistically, the numbers don't add up. There's no official seating, no crowd control infrastructure, and no sign that New York City is preparing for anything close to that scale. If a crowd that size actually does materialize, it's more likely to cause chaos than create a festival atmosphere. The whole thing now sits in a strange in-between state. On one side, it's being marketed like Boxing Super Bowl, a game-changing event set to redefine how the sport is experienced.
Okay,
I'm helping him out.
Hey, so Rolly's kind of the one who won in this deal.
You got lucky.
Damn, Rolly's always somehow finds a way.
The Rolly pulling, he just rolls into shit.
And this will probably be the biggest payday of Rolly's career.
For sure.
How do you see the fight going?
I destroyed that man.
You destroy that man.
On the flip side, the entire setup seems purposely built to exclude everyday fans. Unless you're a celebrity, VIP, or personally invited, you're not getting anywhere near the action. It might look like a public event on the surface, but everything behind the scenes points to a tightly controlled, closed set. Which brings us back to Garcia and Romero. The narrative around their fight has shifted dramatically. What began as a clash of styles, power versus speed, unpredictability versus precision, has turned deeply personal. The headbutt incident wasn't staged, wasn't part of a promo stunt. It was raw, unscripted, and captured by someone's phone camera. That clip didn't go viral because of clever marketing. It blew up because it felt real. Fans didn't watch it with casual interest. They reacted with intensity, with bloodlust. Now it's clear, Garcia isn't just stepping into the ring to win. He wants to embarrass Romero. Completely.
Ryan cleans up Rolly?
I do.
Think he wins the fight? Yeah.
I think for both fighters obviously the common opponent right there. I think that both fighters, obviously Ryan just fought Tank. I think he'll be better since fighting Tank.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with Rolly. I think Rolly became better from fighting Tank. I think that they knew certain mistakes that they made. I think they believed in their game plan. Got us all to believe in their game plan. I think they came to this fight with.
And Romero has never been one to back down. He's spent years taking shots at Garcia, relentless with the trash talk, even questioning Garcia's mental health, his comeback journey, and whether his suspension was legit in the first place. For Romero, this isn't just another bout. It's a shot at being the villain who finally silences Garcia for good. With the wild, almost surreal setup surrounding this event, anything feels possible. The stage might be one of the most iconic and visible on the planet. But once the bell rings, none of that matters. What unfolds in the ring will be raw, intense, and brutally real.
Land, they can do some damage. And Ryan Garcia, look, he's coming off It's going to be about a year now. He's hungry. He's hungry to get on top.
And that's what makes this entire setup feel so contradictory. The backdrop is polished, precise, crafted like a movie set, perfectly framed for the camera. But the fighters? They're anything but scripted. They are raw, fired up, and emotionally charged. Teofimo Lopez is stepping in with something to prove, that he still deserves a spot among the sports elite. Haney's out to remind the world why he's considered one of the smoothest, most technical fighters in the game. And then there's Garcia and Romero, dragging each other through the date, determined to settle this as something far more personal than just a match.
Quick question, how's everybody doing? Haven't talked to you guys in a while. Hope that everybody's doing good.
Yeah, I hope everyone's having a blessed day. Rolly, we coming.
The gap between the tightly controlled production and the fighters' raw intensity is hard to ignore. It feels like two separate events are happening at once, one tailor-made for the screen, the other unfolding in real life. And fans can sense that tension. It's why so many are caught between excitement and frustration. Why hype up a fight with this much real-world drama only to make it invitation-only? Why stage a grudge match like Garcia versus Romero in a setting without the roar of a live crowd? Some are starting to wonder if it's all by design, an intentional shift meant to push boxing into a new era, one that leaves behind the traditional model in favor of something more cinematic, more curated.
Full circle and see who would really win in a fight. You know what I mean? Because in sparring, anything can happen. You know what I mean? Like anything can happen. But when it's real, when it's for everything, who wins?
Okay, who wins?
Me personally, I believe Ryan Garcia.
Knockout or by point?
I would say that fight ends in a knockout either way.
Maybe the real aim here is to turn every fight into a cinematic moment, something sleeker than the old-school pay-per-view formula. A spectacle engineered for viral clips, social media buzz, and endless replay value. But that evolution comes with a cost. You lose the heartbeat of the sport, the raw energy of a live crowd. The boos, the chants, the collective gasp when a perfect uppercut lands. That electricity can't be faked. In trying to modernize boxing, there's a real risk of stripping away its soul. And there's a deeper question, too. If this becomes the standard, exclusive, celebrity-heavy events with no general audience, what happens to the bond between the fighters and the fans? Does the sport start to feel more like a production than a passion?
So Rolly going up to 147, there's many possibilities. There's the possibility of him having a better chin, which I'm not sure if he's going to have a better chin. There's probably the possibility of him being faster, stronger at 147. But him moving up to 147, the only thing I think that he's really going to get is him having a better chin, because at 140, he was getting hurt multiple times. His last fight, he didn't get hurt. He's a little bit, if I'm being honest.
For every headline name like Garcia or Haney pulling millions of views online, there are countless hungry fighters grinding their way up on undercards, fueled by live reactions, local buzz, and the electricity of real crowds. So what message does it send if the sport's biggest stages turn into exclusive showcases for influencers and the ultra-wealthy? Worse still, what happens if the whole production falls flat? If the broadcast feels stiff, the camera work awkward, or the setting more like a polished commercial than a gritty battlefield? Times Square might look stunning on screen, but it's not a venue, it's a set. And sets can crumble. If Garcia and Romero deliver another unscripted moment, raw, real, and emotional, how will the event's carefully controlled format respond? Will it embrace the chaos and authenticity fans crave, or try to sanitize it for the highlight reel?
He's confident against me, so I think we're going to see a good fight, but ultimately I'm going to knock him out.
Rolly Romero was once seen as one of the most unpredictable but electrifying punchers in boxing's lower divisions. With his awkward stance, relentless aggression, and a mouth that never seemed to stop, Rolly brought pure chaos into the ring. He wasn't always the most technical fighter, but his raw power gave him a puncher's chance against even the slickest opponents. That volatility made him dangerous, if not always polished. But now, Just weeks out from his showdown with Ryan Garcia, some in the boxing world are questioning whether that wild, dangerous version of Romero still exists, or if it ever truly did.
What's the game plan to beat Ryan Garcia?
I already got a game plan. When I whooped his ass, so...
Are you talking about in sparring?
Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
8.
And you think that's relevant to this fight? You think you learned something back then you can take forward to this fight?
Nah, I wasn't really trying to learn that day.
Tim Bradley, former world champion and now one of the sport's most respected voices, usually gives fighters the benefit of the doubt. He believes in grit, in second chances, in the idea that one punch or one moment can change everything. But when it comes to Romero, Bradley didn't sugarcoat a thing. He called it exactly how he saw it.
You know, I think Ryan's gonna catch him with that left hook, and it's gonna be night-night. I think Ryan has changed, definitely. I think his character has definitely changed. You know, with the way he's displaying it now, a lot more calmer, very respectful. You know, look like a real businessman now. You know, he's not all loud and crazy like he was. He's kind of toned it and tamed it, calmed it and tamed it down, toned it down a bit. So I respect that with Ryan, man, and I think he's gonna be a lot more focused now, and he's actually gonna go and train, and he's gonna definitely put on the.
This wasn't cautious skepticism. It was outright dismissal. That would be shocking as hell if Rolly pulled off the upset, Bradley told Fight Hub TV. I think Rolly is damaged goods. Coming from someone as seasoned and typically open-minded as Bradley, that's no small statement. It hits hard. On paper, Romero's record doesn't look bad. 16 wins, just 2 losses, and 13 knockouts. But what we've been seeing in the ring tells a different story entirely.
Rolly calling out Ryan.
Yeah.
How you like that fight?
No. How you like that fight?
Oh, that's a good fight. I think that's a great fight. I'm gonna be honest. I think that a lot of people is like, I'm crazy. I think that's a great fight. I worried that they both got Gervonta Tank Davis PTSD.
Bradley wasn't just critiquing Romero's technique. He was pointing to something deeper. A shift in spirit, in confidence. In his eyes, Romero hasn't been the same since one defining moment back in 2022. A crushing knockout loss to Gervonta Tank Davis. That fight wasn't supposed to be Romero's downfall. If anything, it was set up to be his breakout moment. He hyped it up like only he can, convincing fans he had the unpredictability and power to catch Tank slipping. And for a few rounds, it looked like maybe, just maybe, he might pull it off. He came forward with pressure, moved with confidence, and even landed a few solid shots. But then came the punch. A lightning-fast counter from Davis, a perfectly placed left hand that shut everything down. Romero hit the canvas hard, and just like that, it was over. One punch, one moment, and, according to Bradley, the beginning of a decline that Romero still hasn't recovered from.
I don't know how to say it, honestly, but yeah, if he don't got no chin down, so Rolly be getting caught, but Rolly, he can hit, bro. Like, he can hit. But he's the only person I felt like when he swung, it felt like bricks was in his hood.
Is that the hardest one? Is that the hardest one you faced throughout your whole career? Is that the hardest one?
Well, I squad that was like that.
He hasn't been the same since getting knocked out by Gervonta Davis, Bradley said. He's not the same mentally. He's not the same physically. Romero has stepped back into the ring since that loss, most notably earning a controversial stoppage win over Ismael Barroso, followed by a decision victory against Manuel Himes. But none of those outings brought back the old Rolly, the swaggering, fearless brawler who used to launch punches like he had nothing to lose. Instead, his looked hesitant, slower, like a fighter trying to convince himself and everyone watching that he still belongs, rather than someone stepping in to take over.
You got the best left in the world. The best left in the world.
And that's what makes this upcoming clash with Ryan Garcia such a brutal test for Romero. Say what you will about Garcia. his flashy persona, his online antics, but inside the ring, he's still fast, sharp, and dangerous. He's been knocked down, he's faced doubt, but has never fought like someone unsure of himself. Whatever holes exist in his footwork or defense, he more than makes up for with blistering speed and razor-sharp timing. When he lands clean, it can be lights out. Even Shakur Stevenson, one of the most technically sound fighters in the division, didn't mince words when asked about the matchup. Rolly's not that good, he told KO Artist Sports. Ryan's the better boxer. I don't see Ryan the way other people do.
Andrew, real quick, so your prediction for Rolly versus Ryan, how do you see that fight going down?
Bro, I don't want to disrespect anyone. I want to wish everybody the absolute best. I hope everybody gets in there, has a great time, leaves happy, healthy, a little bit richer.
Right.
But Ryan's quick, man. I'll just tell you something. Like, I remember from my fight days, I'm a bit old now, but I'm scared of the guy whose hands you can't see. Those are the ones to be afraid of.
Because they're all good fighters, bro.
There was no deep tactical breakdown from Stevenson, just a clear, confident read. He sees Garcia as too fast, too precise, and too dialed in for someone like Romero to handle. When asked how he thought it would end, he didn't hesitate. I can see a knockout. In a way, Stevenson's blunt assessment mirrors what Bradley has already warned about. Romero doesn't look like the same fighter. The punch resistance, the explosiveness, the fearless edge that once made him a threat, it all seems to be fading. The worry isn't just that he'll lose to Garcia. The real fear is that he's walking into something he's not ready for. For Ryan Garcia, this stretch of his career is pivotal. After suffering a high-profile loss to Gervonta Davis in one of 2023's top-selling pay-per-view events, his reputation took a serious hit. Critics called him soft. Some wrote him off as a social media star cosplaying as a boxer. His flashy lifestyle, openness about mental health, and unconventional path through the sport made him an easy target. But when he returned to the ring later that year and delivered a clean knockout against Oscar Duarte, the narrative started to shift. Garcia looked sharp, composed, hungry, like a fighter with something real to chase. Romero, by contrast, hasn't had that kind of rebound. Since the Tank loss, his performances haven't reignited belief. They've only deepened the doubts.
Like a multinational champ?
Yeah, started boxing like 5 or something. Damn, it took him that long to evolve somewhat? I'm very impressed. He still hasn't been champion though.
Fair enough.
And the only times that he's ever had the opportunity to be champion was with Gervonta, but instead of trying to sacrifice the extra pound and trying to make 135,
Instead of restoring confidence, Romero's recent performances have only raised more questions. Even the WBA title he currently holds at 140 pounds came under a cloud of controversy, one via a strange technical stoppage in a fight many felt he was losing. It didn't feel like a champion's triumph. It felt like survival. And to this day, fans debate whether he truly earned that belt. But Romero's biggest problem may not be public doubt. It's what's happening to his style in real time. He was never known for refined technique, but his wild aggression and raw power used to be enough to overwhelm opponents. He threw from odd angles, created chaos, and made it work because he believed in what he was doing. He trusted his chin, welcomed risk, and fought like he had nothing to lose. But that kind of style only works when the belief is real. And lately, it feels like that belief is fading. When a brawler starts second-guessing himself, the chaos doesn't confuse opponents. It backfires. This upcoming fight is the worst possible stage for uncertainty. Garcia's speed is merciless. His left hook, quick, clean, and often unseen, doesn't give opponents a second chance. Fighters who've hesitated against him have paid the price. Just ask Luke Campbell, or Javier Fortuna. Romero, now looking slower and less explosive than ever, might be stepping straight into the kind of ending he won't see coming, until it's too late.
Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia would be an amazing fight, you know. Me and Ryan sparred way back when, you know. We sparred twice, and there's always, it's going to be, I mean, that fight will sell out. I know that fight will sell out. that's one of those mega fights that me and Ryan. That's a fight I'm definitely interested in.
And yet, the real tragedy here might not be Romero losing. It's the possibility that he's already lost. That's what Tim Bradley seemed to be pointing at. Fighters rarely talk about this side of the sport. The moment when one punch changes everything. When it shakes your confidence, scrambles your instincts, dulls that inner fire. Some fighters never recover. Some don't come back at all. Romero doesn't lack heart. He still talks big. He still steps up. But boxing isn't just about bravado. It's about split-second reactions, timing, muscle memory, and the ability to stay clear-headed in chaos. And when even one of those fades, the price isn't just a loss. It's the kind of defeat that echoes far beyond the ring. As May 2nd draws closer, Romero continues to stay in the spotlight, appearing in interviews, hyping the fight, and trading barbs online. But once the bell rings, all the noise fades. That's when it all becomes real. Both Tim Bradley and Shakur Stevenson, from different perspectives, seem to agree. The moment might be too big for Romero. The doubts are real, the stakes are high, and Garcia doesn't leave much room for hesitation. But what do you think? Is Romero still dangerous enough to flip the script? Or is this Garcia's fight to lose? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest breakdowns, updates, and fight night reactions.